Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bosky Net Adventure. My name's Jeff, and for a while now, I have been sharing with you all my experiences with my Rattan Sequoia e-bike. If you've been following along on this series, by now you've seen me begin to start putting this bike through its paces. I've done a couple of short distance rides, a few long distance rides, and I shared one of those experiences with you all. You may have also at this point seen me take this e-bike out on a camping adventure. In fact, tonight is actually the fourth night that I have gone camping with this e-bike. So I've been putting it through its paces. In building up my confidence with this e-bike, I've had to do some items of preparation, install some accessories, and really configure the bike to just how I wanted it in order to go out on these adventures. So in today's episode, I wanted to share with you all those items of preparation, as well as give you an overview of some of the accessories that I've installed on this e-bike. So stick around as I go through all of these items. The first thing that I did before putting many miles on this bike was to take it into a local bike shop and just make sure that all of the derailleurs, the brakes, and everything were just as they should be. Now, my local shop didn't charge me much to do this. I think it ended up being about $30, and they just made sure that everything was smooth. After all, this did come shipped to me, so I just wanted to make sure that everything was all good, done by a professional, and they did a really good job making sure it was all tuned up for me. Now, the second thing that I did, and this has to do with more of the fact that on a lot of the trails that I go on, there's all kinds of thorns and things that can put a damper on your day by puncturing your tire. So what I did right off the bat was to fill the tires with flat out. Let me show you exactly what I did. All right, everyone, we're getting really close to doing the first ride, but before we begin, I like to fill my tires with flat out. So the trails that I go on around here are covered with all kinds of spiky, thorny devil heads, and they can wreak havoc on your tires. So I'm going to do some preventative maintenance, fill the tires up with some flat out, and then we'll be ready to ride. All right, the process is quite simple. I just need to take out the valve and then fill it up with the flat out. The flat out comes with a tool to remove the stem. So we just use that, untwist it, and pretty easy. You just take out that valve, you're going to hear all the air start releasing. And you certainly don't want to lose that guy. So that's the piece that I took out. Next, I just rotate the tire in the downward position like that. There's a straw right there in the flat out. I just put that over the stem, just like that. Fits nice and snug. And then we squeeze it in. Pinch that off, send it back down into the bag. You're going to want to clean up any little bits that you might have spilt. Just like that. Clean off that stem. You want to take your valve stem, set it back in, and with your tool, you want to thread it back in. And time to reinflate the tire. Again, this is just one of those preventative maintenance things that I do with the bike so as to prevent an issue when I'm out on the trail. The process is exactly the same for the rear tire. Just exercise a little bit of patience while you do this, and you'll be all good. Once I had the tires all filled with flat out, I then inflated the tires to the appropriate PSI. I was now ready to take the bike out on longer adventures. Now, after I go on longer adventures, and I'm talking more than 40 to 50 miles, or when I am out on the trail and it's especially dusty and grimy, I take the opportunity after the ride to really do a good job cleaning up the chain. Let me show you how I do this. All right, everyone. Now, one of the routine maintenance items that I'm constantly doing on my bike is to make sure that I have a properly cleaned and lubricated bike chain. So I was going to go through that process with you here real quick and just show you how it's done on the bike. The lubrication that I like to use is Rock and Roll. They make 3 varieties of this. This is their road bike variety. Now, since I've only been really putting road miles on the bike right now, I think this will work out just fine for now. The difference between all of the lubricants is that this is a 2-in-1 product. So it's both a cleaner, it has a solvent in it, in addition to having a lubricant. So it's pretty much the solvent that's different in all of them. Some are better at getting out the dirt and grime. So where I haven't gone on any dusty dirt, water conditions yet, this will do just fine for today. So let's come in close here and show you how it's done. All right, first things first, you want to shake this up really good. The lubricant tends to settle at the bottom. Next, you just want to, while spinning the pedal backwards, you just want to get a nice light coat of that on the chain. Because like I said, the first step is to clean the chain. This has a solvent in it, right? So it's going to get inside all the nooks and crannies of the chain and help clean them out. And now that I've covered the whole chain with it, we're just going to keep spinning that backwards. And you're going to want to do that for about a minute. Make sure it really gets into all of the different areas. This is the kind of prep work that I do, especially before going on a big adventure. So tomorrow I plan on taking the bike out on my first overnighter. So just a little bit of prep work beforehand helps prevent issues while I'm out and about. Next thing you want to do is I grab myself a rag just like this, and I grab the chain just right up here, and I continue to go in that backwards motion with it, and I want to now wipe off all of what the solvent has uncovered. And I'll show you. So we're going to keep doing this until we get all of the grime off. Okay, so far so good. So to show you the progression there, right, I'm actually going to do another round of the solvent just because I want to make sure that this is all nice and clean for my outing tomorrow. So as I was saying before, this is a two-step process: clean and lube. And the lubrication is meant to dry in place. So you don't want to leave everything on there all wet and soggy. You are meant to, with a rag, just like I'm doing, you are meant to wipe everything off. Okay, here we go again. Still getting a fair amount out. I'm almost set here, and I will show you the progression on the rag. So that's the second time through. So that's kind of what you're looking for once you get to this point, right? Definitely got rid of the grime. So I think we're good to go. And like I said, at this point, you do not put any more on. You let that dry, and it's good to go. I'm just going to clean up some of the excess that I may have spilt anywhere, especially around that area. One of the things that I also inspect is to make sure that everything on the derailleur in the rear cassette isn't getting all gummed up. As I have very little miles on the bike, there's nothing to be concerned about here. I don't have any buildup going on yet, so, but in the future, that'll be some of the areas that I take a look at, right? Because you'll start getting buildup all in here, all in the derailleur and everything else like that. So you just want to be mindful, check it all out. A little bit of maintenance helps your bike keep performing. So after performing all of those maintenance items, it was now time to focus my attention on the accessories that I would need to not only capture these adventures, but there were some functional accessories that I needed too, so that I could haul all kinds of gear with me. Let me go over those with you now. All right, so as far as accessories are concerned, let's start up here on the handlebars. I have just a generic phone holder, so there's not much to talk about there. But first and foremost, what you're going to see here is I've added a handlebar extension. This was important because I had other GoPro mounts and accessories that I wanted to add just so that I could capture the moment. It did take me a couple of iterations to get this one right. And really what the issue was is I had to find a bar with extensions long enough to make it past the LCD screen here, and that it wouldn't bump into it, or there was plenty of room to actually see the LCD display. So I think it took me about 2 or 3 tries to get this right, but I came across this one. It had a long enough extension here, and it worked out quite well. So I'll put the link in the description below for that. But right now, as you can see, I've just got a GoPro mount attached to it, and I really like this one. It's really stable, holds on there nice and tight, and it has this cool feature that with just a simple twist, I can lock it into a new position. So that works out really, really well for me. So now, just below the front handlebar extension, we come across this guy here. So as I pointed out in the specs video, there was a mounting location here. And what I did is I went ahead and 3D printed myself this plate that has a GoPro mount attached to it. And so you're probably wondering, hey, why is it off to the side like that? Well, that is because you have this big cable run of all of your brake control and everything else like that. And I needed to be able to get the camera off to the side so as to not be interrupted by that bundle of cables. And it's pretty solid, and it's been working out pretty well for me so far. Plus, I like having it attached to the frame, and it helps provide a more stable footage rather than something that's constantly moving with the handlebars. All right, now as we travel to the back here, we've got a couple of things. So the first thing that I knew I was going to want was this under saddle bag. Inside of here, and we'll go ahead and open this up. All right, so what do I got inside of the saddle bag? Because this is important too. So this is just where I keep my keys. I store this in my garage, so I'm not worried about having the keys in there and whatnot. Plus, I never leave the battery attached to it, so I think I'm all good there. But inside of here, this is where I keep all of my tools for the bike. So this is the bag that Rattan supplied, plus a lot of the tools that they supplied. So I have all kinds of wrenches and Allen wrenches and everything else. Pretty much every tool that I would need in case something came loose on the bike itself. So that is my maintenance kit. And you've probably seen this in other rides too. Sometimes I keep a bike pump attached to the back shelf. So, speaking of the back shelf, this did not come with the bike. This is something that I purchased independently, and I will, once again, provide the link below. And just like the front handlebar, I did end up trying a couple of these back shelves out just so that I could get the perfect fit. And I ended up going with one that attached to the seat stem here, and then it had a universal, just bolt yourself to the frame of the bike here, right? So I ended up going with that, and I really like this one because this length is adjustable. So just by unscrewing this bolt here, I can extend this arm. So that ended up working out really well. I would have liked to have gotten a rack that did attach to the mount points. However, Rattan did not have that available. I did get an email from them saying that they will be stocking a basket or rear shelf very soon that will mount to the frame of the bike. Now, I haven't had any problems with stability on this guy. It doesn't shake on me or anything else. And if I remember correctly, the load limit on that shelf is 110 pounds. So very sturdy, very robust. It even has a rear light reflector on the back of it for safety. So I really like that shelf. And that allows me to mount all of my bags and everything else when I go on my long camping adventures. So that's pretty much all the accessories that I have on it right now. I do have just a simple water bottle holder there also. But those are pretty much generic, and get whatever you like and whatever came with your bottle. Now, I also have the secondary battery that Rattan provides for the Sequoia e-bike. I don't have it installed for this trip. I didn't need it. The 50 to 80 mile range was plenty for this trip, and I opted to have my water bottle attached instead of the second battery for this trip. But I did want to take a moment and show you the installation process and what that battery is all about. Here we have the battery with the attached mounting plate and connection cable. Next we have the power splitter, and then 4 screws for mounting. The first thing that we're going to want to do is to pull off these 6 screws so that we can take off this cover. And now, with all of those screws taken out, it just falls down right there, and you can just set it right there on the pedal. So, looking at everything that we have in here, looks like we have a Y connector from the battery that goes into our speed controller, and then another off that Y that comes back to the accessory port back here. We're going to need to pull the cap out here so that we can drop the cable in, and then mount the battery mounting plate into these holes here. Let's get to it. Just like that. As I was showing you before, this is the mounting plate, and it has this cable attached to it. So that's going to get fed down into the hole here, and you're going to want to catch it on the other end, and that plate mounts just right there. And while we have that there, let's just go ahead and screw that guy down so that it doesn't wobble around on us. I have the drill set on low torque just so I don't strip anything. Just like that. Okay, so that guy's not going anywhere. Now on to wire management. And this is where we need to bring in the power module. So we connect both batteries and combine them into one. This thing makes sure that everything stays regulated at the 48 volts. Okay, so we have our battery. This is the battery terminal. This goes out to the accessory port back here, right? And that's our new one. So those two need to get tied together with the power module. Goes just like that, and that one goes just right like that. Okay? Okay, now that I've got the two battery terminals connected up to what they are calling the double battery pack balanced discharger, right? So now that gets plugged in to the existing Y adapter, right? We'll tape that end also, because we don't want that coming loose on us. All nice and secure. And then the speed controller gets attached to this end. But we're not going to do that one until I have all of this stuff back inside. So let's get all that back in here real quick. All right, I think I've got everything in there just the way that I want it. Nothing's getting pinched, right? So we're going to get that guy plugged in, and let's tape that guy up too. We don't want him coming loose. All right, so now at this point, this isn't like you're packing sausage. You don't want to just shove all of this in here, right? You want to make sure nothing is getting pinched off and everything is where it's supposed to. I hold the power connectors in here just like that. There were these two guys here, and they fed underneath. And this extra accessory, he was tucked back in there just like that. It's this guy right here that's just kind of worrying me. but he gets held right back there. And just like that, nothing's getting pinched. And we're going to slowly bring up our cover plate here and get that into place. And we should be all good to go. We'll put our screws back in. Again, with our drill set at low torque, we don't want to strip anything. And just like that. The second battery mounting hardware is all there. Let's plug in the battery and we should be good to go. All right, and just like the main battery that comes with this bike, it does have an on-off switch. So we can flip that guy to on here real quick. Press the power button and we are charged. Let's turn it back off before attaching. Lock that guy into place. Turn it back on. And we should be ready to go. Turn the bike on. Hey, look at that. We're good. And the battery's at 62%. All right, that's a successful install. All right, so that's it for this video. I shared with you all the preparation steps that I took before even taking this bike out on the long journeys. And that was mostly just so that I could have full confidence in this bike, especially when I'm out in the wilderness. I don't want to accidentally strand myself here. I showed you a maintenance item that I religiously perform on the chain. I got to keep that thing in tip-top shape. I don't want that wearing out on me either. Lastly, I showed you all the accessories, all the gadgets and gizmos that I've installed on this, just so that I can capture these adventures as well as haul around all my gear. I do hope that you've enjoyed this episode and that it's been informative. If you like the content that I'm providing, be sure to like and subscribe. It would really help the channel. And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, or you have a question about a specific piece of gear that I installed on here, I'm going to have all the links in the description down below. But if you have any questions, be sure to hit me up. Be sure to stick around. I've taken the Sequoia out on several camping adventures, and I'd love to be able to share them all with you. Thank you for joining me tonight. Bye now.